Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from the Templin Institute. And the topic for today's video is Cadian shock troops. Cadia. The planet broke before the guard. Always remember that. Alright, so anyways, let's get into the video. Here we go. Cadian shock troops.
When Cadia was first settled by the Imperium, humanity still bled from 1,000 open wounds, left over from the ravages of the heresy. The deepest of these was the Eye of Terror, a laceration across the face of reality, into which the traitors and heretics that served the dark powers had fled. For centuries, the armies of chaos had routinely emerged from its depths, free to disappear into the wider galaxy and revisit the horrors of the heresy on some unsuspecting world. Such acts had been uncontested. Uncontested until Cadia.
Dun dun dun.
For nearly 10,000 years, the Cadian Gate formed the heart of mankind's greatest fortress, a vast bastion on the very door of chaos itself. Uncounted raiding fleets
would have been kind of cool to see what the planet actually looked like, because that must have been one hell of a fortress.
And even the mighty Black Crusades of the Despoiler were not enough to break the will of Cadia's defenders. So what could not be conquered?
It must be destroyed.
The fall of Cadia was to be the ultimate triumph of the Despoiler.
That's pretty creepy looking.
A final rout, forced against the Loyalists on the world they had defended for millennia, as it crumbled and shattered beneath them. It was to be the death of hope, the dereliction of duty, the abasement of mankind.
But they were wrong.
This desperate, petulant act has turned Cadia into something else entirely. Its ancient forests have been reduced to ash.
It's an icon,
and
a
oceans
beacon.
Have sizzled away under skies that weep blood. And yet, Cadia stands. The Imperium itself has been torn asunder. From the galactic core to the far rim, the Eye of Terror has ripped reality in half, as hundreds of thousands of worlds are now lost to a realm of slaughter and despair amidst
That's insane to think that many planets.
Yet Cadia stands. Gods and monsters alike all proclaim a time of ending, while Xenos beyond count and traitors beyond redemption each await the coming death of mankind. Yet Cadia stands. It stands because all the fury mustered by the Despoiler could only destroy a world.
These are some really cool
Cadia
pictures.
Was first settled by the Imperium, another world was all it was. But in the era Indomitus, Cadia is the proper way to load a lasgun, the most effective way to clear a trench line. It is a regimen by which a green recruit becomes a soldier, a lone hill, a fortified bulwark. Cadia is a way of life, a creed of death, a model by which worlds are ruled and armies mobilized. It is a method of war, one that has been honed across millennia, since the first battles on the natural soil of ancient Terra to the Imperium's campaigns
turrets
across the Halo stars.
That's insane. What's that?
Martyrdom has made Cadia
9 barrels?
All these things. But beneath it all, distilled to its purest essence, it is the steely gaze of a soldier, a look of defiance and fury in the face of every terror the galaxy can offer. Cadia is the fire behind the eyes that separates the conscripts and the press gangs from the shock troops. Ancient documents housed in the deepest recesses of the Library Sanctus claim that the first shock troops fought on the battlefields of Old Earth in the 914th year of the second millennium. These martial brotherhoods served the ancient houses of Germany, Frank, and Britannia, which together formed the great effort of that forgotten era.
You don't really hear about
to save
that
Europa
history
from
all
the
that much.
Yet the truth of the term's specific origins is irrelevant. for the class of warrior it describes has existed on every battlefield since time immemorial.
Okay.
Shock troops lead the attack, better trained, better armed, and expected to endure even the most grievous of casualties. In the 42nd millennium, uncounted formations within the Imperium fit this description, from the Terminator veterans of the Adeptus Astartes to the Skitarii vanguard of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Regiments of the Imperial Guard too fulfill this role, and worlds such as Jihadi and Pollux are famed for their fiercely aggressive and capable veterans. Yet so potent is the legacy of Cadia that the term shock troops has become intrinsically linked to this world above all. In the Imperium, it is used overwhelmingly to refer to two distinct types of regiments. The first are those that were initially raised on the hallowed soil of Cadia itself, and were either off-world at the time of its fall, or able to escape the resulting cataclysm. Several thousand of such regiments
that were
exist,
off-world
but the
at the
labyrinthine,
time? Where do they go? What happens to them?
Departamento Munitorum means the true number may be an order of magnitude more. Also included are those new regiments formed from Cadian colonies, both those that predate the fall and those established in the aftermath.
Oh.
The second are regiments with no connection by blood to Cadia itself, but whose respective worlds have modeled their entire military structure on its example. Some have even been known to adopt its name, outwardly indistinguishable from those
and that's
that
how
held the
Cadia
gate.
still stands.
Cadian training methods, tactics, uniforms, and insignia have all been widely dispersed across the Imperium, ensuring armies separated by galactic distances nevertheless share a common heritage and martial traditions. At the center of Cadian doctrine is unwavering discipline and rigorous training instilled from an early age. It was commonly said of Cadia that its birth and recruitment rates were synonymous with childhood developmental regimens, a foundational education, and martial training proceeding concurrently upon birth.
In that picture, it looks like you can tell that dude has seen some
continue
shit.
this practice and are expected to field strip a lasgun by age 5 and be reliably deadly shots before their first decade. By the precipice of adulthood, a time when most other citizens across the Imperium are only beginning their training, Cadians will already have received over a decade of instruction and practical experience in weapons handling, small unit tactics, hand-to-hand combat, battlefield medicine, biowarfare defense, survival techniques, reconnaissance operations, and the maintenance and operation of a wide range of military equipment.
Damn.
In every facet of their training, duty to the Imperium is intertwined with faith in the Emperor. Shock troops must be uniquely fortified, both mentally and spiritually, against the corrupting influence of the Chaos Gods and dangerous Xenos philosophies. This mental conditioning manifests as a grim yet unwavering acceptance of the universe and its perils. It is not until a Cadian has been first deployed to an active war zone, however, that their rite of passage into adulthood is considered complete. This must be done within the Cadian Youth Army, more commonly known as the White Shields. Though essentially a reserve force comparable to the conscripted formations that make up other regiments of the Imperial Guard, service in the White Shields is not a temporary term of service, but a critical step in a Cadian's training. Soldiers in these units may be relegated to the rear area of an established front, simply to be acclimatized to battlefield conditions. Others may be deployed on crusades, used to quell unrest, or fill any other holes in the Imperium's vast manpower requirements across its many war zones.
So basically they go wherever they're needed.
Once their required term of service in the White Shields is complete, Cadians are given the choice to enter civilian service and work to maintain the immense military-industrial complexes needed to sustain their martial societies. Since the fall of Cadia, this work has grown in importance, especially across the new Cadian colonies, as they strive to re-establish their preeminent role within the Astra Militarum. Even so, these citizens are expected to maintain their skills and are periodically recalled for reserve training to ensure they remain combat ready.
Makes sense.
In emergencies, entire hive cities, or other vast swaths of citizens trained in the Cadian style can be immediately reconscripted into active service, forming the core of new regiments, without sacrificing the professionalism or discipline that defines the Cadian soldier. Those that choose to continue their military service will be officially inducted into an interior guard, the Cadian nomenclature for a planetary defense force. Their transition is marked by the removal of the white stripes that symbolize the youth army, and the insignia and markings of their newly assigned regiment inscribed in their place. The process by which units and soldiers serving within a planetary defense force become transferred to the Astra Militarum differs across the many manpower hubs of the Imperium. It is common for worlds to select their most elite, capable formations, wary of the punishment that would be inflicted upon them should they contribute substandard soldiers to the Imperial war effort. In defense forces
Only the
raised
best
to
of
the
the
Cadian
best.
standard, this process is entirely random. So complete is Cadian training, there exists a supreme confidence that any soldier from any part of the Interior Guard might be chosen without fear of rejection by the Departamento Unitorum. This is both a testament to the quality of their training and to the uniformity of their equipment and weapons to the Imperial standard. For both Cadian colonies and other worlds aiming to emulate Cadian doctrine, the ability to randomly supply units to the Imperial Guard without rejection is the definitive indicator of their success. Cadian shock troops are famed for their adherence to combined arms warfare.
Well,
Their
sounds like
regiments
a
and
super
armies
heavy
are
tank.
highly mechanized and feature armored fighting vehicles, artillery, and heavy weaponry at every echelon. Unlike other worlds whose regiments are known to excel in specific areas, such as Talan and its focus on desert warfare, or the airborne regiments trained on Elysia, Cadian shock troops are meant to be versatile. They can adapt to most environments or methods of warfare relatively seamlessly, relying on mission-type
crazy that they
tactics
can
in
do
which
that.
subordinate leaders are given greater freedom of execution. Relative to other Imperial Guard regiments, Cadian shock troops emphasize faster decision-making at the tactical level, freeing higher leadership to focus on the strategic direction of any battle or theater. Though unable to replicate the most extraordinary feats of more specialized regiments, Cadian initiative and flexibility can often be utilized
plague
to
bearers.
achieve the same results. Entire Cadian army groups have been deployed en masse to important battlefields, but regiments remain the standard unit of action that are commonly mobilized across the Imperium. They may form the vanguard of a larger army group, be subordinate to other Imperial military institutions, or be integrated into the Imperium's war efforts in countless other ways. These regiments may be armored, mechanized, airborne, cavalry, or of some other nature, though the more balanced shock regiment is both the most common and flexible.
That's insane.
Regiments are typically commanded by a colonel. The lineage of many such officers stretches back into the history of Cadia, and are most often the noble-born offspring of esteemed military families. They form the center of Cadian command platoons, which can be further accompanied by various attachés, including astropaths from the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, masters of ordnance from dedicated artillery regiments, and
That's
officers
one
of
hell
the
of a
Aeronautica
uniform.
or Navis Imperialis. Effective cooperation between these different branches has been a historic weakness in Imperial capabilities. Yet Cadian shock troops, with their superior training and baseline education, tend to be more easily incorporated into joint operations, and such attachés are more common. Below the headquarters element are multiple companies. These vary in size, but usually consist of between 2 and 6 platoons, each with their own dedicated command section. A standard platoon consists of 5 squads, made up of 10 soldiers. At the squad level, shock troops tend to favor additional man-portable special weaponry, such as melters or grenade launchers, over larger, more cumbersome weapons requiring dedicated teams. A unique rank within the Astra Militarum is the Castellan. These officers both originated and continue to appear disproportionately within Cadian regiments. Nominally sharing the same authority as a colonel, a Castellan is distinguished by their lack of a permanent retinue. They instead embed themselves and move between individual squads, lending their expertise and leadership where it is needed most. A Castellan might be expected to provide ground-level operational assessments to other headquarters units further in the rear, or replace them entirely. The Karsakin are another type of soldier unique to Cadian armies, elite troops that provide special capabilities beyond that of the standard infantry.
Special
roughly
forces.
Analogous to the stormtroopers of the Militarum Tempestus, Karsakin feature environmentally sealed armor, Lucius pattern lasguns, and additional more specialized equipment depending
They do
on
look
their
pretty
mission.
badass, though.
Named after the Karsa fortress cities that once spanned Cadia, Kassakin are widely considered the finest soldiers among the Imperium's baseline human
I
population.
can only imagine what their
The
training
remainder
is
of
like.
the regiment's soldiery and equipment is,
Or
by
how to
design,
become one.
widely similar to that of a standard Astra Militarum regiment, if such a thing can be said to exist. These include infantry squads of various specialities, Chimera armored transports for mechanized assaults, the venerable Lehman Russ and Rogel Dawn battle tanks, as well as the multitude of variants and patterns based on these platforms.
That is pretty cool.
They are in turn supported by the various
Although you only get 4
and heavy
rockets,
support
so...
elements common across the Astra Militarum. It might just as easily be said, however, that the standard Imperial regiment has been based on the shock troops as opposed to vice versa. Cadian pattern helmets, uniforms, and flak armor are ubiquitous across the Imperium, even in regiments that don't aspire to the Cadian standard. Since the colonization of Cadia and the founding of its first regiments, the shock
She's got
troops
good
have won
finger
countless
discipline.
battlefield honors, both in the defense of the Cadian Gate and in other theaters across the galaxy. Among the latter, Cadians notably participated in the Vrakis World Campaign, the Garrick Heresy, and over 100 regiments had the distinguished honor of serving in the legendary Makarian Crusade. The shock troops have
Makarian
routed
Crusade.
Tyranid high fleets, Hrud migrations, and were among the very first to bloody the armies of the Tau Empire in the Damocles Gulf Crusade. Yet, the battle that has come to define the Cadian shock troops is predictably the fall of Cadia itself during the 13th Black Crusade of Abaddon the Despoiler. Its upper leadership was devastated in the opening stages of the attack, with those killed including the planetary governors, the Lord Castellan, and thousands of other senior commanders.
Oh, wow.
Following this, Ostakar E. Creed,
So they took
the
out
legendary
HQ right
commander
away.
of the Cadian 8th, was raised to the position of Lord Castellan, granting him full authority over the system's planetary defense forces. Creed's inspired
lot of
defense of
responsibility.
Cadia is now recognized as one of the most astonishing demonstrations of military acumen in the history of the Astra Militarum. His strategic and logistical genius, already well documented, ascended to a mythical status. As the battle progressed, his maneuvers, feints, and strategic realignments began to demonstrate a level of tactical brilliance and foresight that approached and perhaps even matched many of the historic masterstrokes achieved by Lord Solar Macarius, the Lord of Angels, and perhaps most
Lord of
controversially,
Angels?
even the arch-traitor Horus.
Never heard of him.
These were not intended to lift the siege of the planet, but rather by critical time. Yet, it was this brilliance and success that doomed Cadia. At risk of being dragged down into a prolonged war of attrition across the planet, the Despoiler instead sacrificed one of his most powerful assets, the ancient Blackstone Fortress, known as the Will of Eternity. It was deliberately propelled into the planet at cataclysmic speeds, the impact cracking the world's outer crust and leaving Cadia a shattered husk.
Cheap
Had
shot.
Cadia been subjugated, its armies and leaders paraded before the Despoiler in chains,
Giant temper tantrum.
perhaps the legacy of that fortress
can't
world
win.
would have been one of defeat and failure. But the sight of countless regiments continuing to hold the line, even as their world disintegrated beneath them, has only hardened the Imperium's resolve. The fall of Cadia has become nothing less than the sacrifice of Elenius Pius, writ large on a planetary scale. Beneath the shattered remnants of the Cadian Gate, the front lines have already been re-established, and new bulwarks and bastions formed from Agrippina to Bellis Corona. Even the Cadian system itself remains contested, the momentum of the Black Crusade faltering against renewed Imperial efforts on its remaining worlds. Across distant battlefields far removed from the Eye of Terror, thousands of shock regiments,
Space Marine
raised
2.
to the Cadian standard, continue the struggle against the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. Though Creed has vanished, presumed killed in the last rearguard on Cadia, his daughter, Ursula J. Creed, Lord General of the Astra Militarum, and Lord Castellan of Cadia, has assumed command in his place. An implacable strategist, in the mold of her father, no single figure in the galaxy, save
can
perhaps
see the
Lord
family
Solar Leontus,
resemblance.
holds greater influence or respect amongst the regiments of the Imperial Guard. When Cadia was first settled by the Imperium, humanity still bled from 1,000 open wounds, left over from the ravages of the heresy. Now, it is the traitor armies that bleed on 1,000 different battlefields. They bleed because Cadia is no longer just the world. Any territory claimed by the shock troops becomes Cadian territory. Any soil stained by their blood becomes Cadian soil.
Yeah.
It has become a single rolling front that stretches across the galaxy, from the deepest recesses of the rear echelon to the tips of the bayonets that jut outwards from the forwardmost trenches. But beneath it all, distilled to its purest essence, Cadia is the look of defiance and fury that marks the shock troops, an unquenchable fire that promises every traitor, every
stands,
every battlefield, every front, every theater, and every world will break before the guard.
The Templin Institute
Oh man, that
investigates
was
the
cool.
nations, factions, and organizations of alternate worlds. Join other Templin Institute personnel on our Discord server.
Okay, so there we go. Cadian shock troops. Wow, that was one hell of a video. That is insane. Just learning about all the different training and stuff like that, and the white shields, and then just kind of, going wherever you want, back into the military industrial complex and stuff like that, and then being recalled if needed. Being able to adapt to whatever they need to. That's just insane. That's just crazy. That is pretty cool that, other planets start to, adapt their training and stuff like that. I wonder what happened to all those Cadians that were not on the planet. I wonder what they were kind of thinking and feeling when they heard what happened and stuff. And then what happens to those troops, Cadia's gone, do you just, stay with whatever regiment that's left that you're with, or do you get rolled into something else, or what? But, that's extremely interesting. Kazarkins, those things look cool. I can only imagine what the training is like to become a Kazarkin. But their armor is pretty cool, though. Man. Cadia. Well, here's a question for you. If you were a Cadian, what would you want to I guess, be a part of? Do you want to be, just general infantry? Do you want to be in a tank? Do you want to do artillery? Would you want to be one of the pilots and flying the Valkyrie gunships and stuff like that? Let me know what you would pick. I don't know. Maybe artillery. I think artillery would be kind of cool. Because basilisks are pretty badass. Just imagine although, you can go deaf very quickly. Just imagine all those things fire and just, But yeah, I think being artillery would be kind of cool. Maybe secondly, a tank. Although, I don't know, those are kind of death traps, I don't know. But let me know, where would you want to be placed in the Cadian army? Let me know. So anyways, on that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And, of course, leave me all your thoughts and comments. If there's any videos you guys want me to check out, let me know down below in the comment section, or post a link and stuff like that. And I'd be happy to check them out and do a video on them. So other than that, just stick around. More videos are on the way. And I will see you guys next time.